officially welcome and hello to this Docs42 class about the latest Docs42 version 4.3, which is including a lot of new features like the visualizer, the AAD login, but also some smaller features like Sharepoint attachment and dynamic bookmarks. And for all of those who don't know me yet, my name is Lisa Pulsinger. I'm Senior Technical Evangelist at Docs42, and I've been doing quite some Docs42 classes already, so you should check them out. They're on our website on the resources tab with lots of educational content. We usually do those Docs42 classes by ourselves. It's usually just one evangelist, but I'm super happy that I'm not alone today because I have the person with me that is actually responsible for providing those cool new features. It's our developer, Peter. Hi, Peter. Would you like to say some words?
Hello. Yes, my name is Peter Wendlinger, and I'm a new developer for Docs42, and I'm the main person responsible for all the new features Lisa's about to show you. And if you have any technical questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Just write them in the chat and we'll come back to you. Now Lisa will show you the new features. Lisa.
Great. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for introducing yourself. Yes, don't be shy. Please ask us some questions. Can be technical questions, of course, as well. That's why we have Peter here today. Don't be shy. Just ask them. Good. But now let's have a look what we're actually gonna work on for today. So what you're gonna see. First of all, it's all about Docs42 version 4.3. So please download the latest version from our website right after the meeting. Just go to docs42.com/modules/download to download it. Then the biggest part will be about the latest Docs42 visualizer that enhances the Docs42 template user experience, so to say. So you will have some colorful data maps because of that. We will have a look at a relatively small but nice new feature, which is dynamic bookmarks. I will introduce you to Sharepoint attachments, and then very important for the ones of you that are actually working with multi-factor authentication, the latest feature, the AAD Login, which allows you to manage your templates from Sharepoint while using MFA. And then, of course, questions and answers. Please feel free to post them in the chat also during the webinar. That is, yeah, just go ahead. But now enough from our slides, and I will jump right into the live demo now. So I will start here with a template, which I've already prepared beforehand, and it's the employee contract. And maybe a few of you are already familiar with the employee contract. It's a scenario which we like to use in some of our demos. And basically what it is a template that includes, here we can see some, just make this a bit smaller, that includes some data fields. We see all those blue fields here down below. And if I double click on one of those fields, I can see, okay, which data sources I actually have available for my template here. And so I have my candidates data source, but then I also have another one, remuneration policy, all candidates. I have an Excel data source and so on. So if I'm the one that has set up the data map and that has designed the template, I know which data fields I'm using when. But if I'm passing on the template to someone else to later work with the template, it might not be obvious from just seeing those blue data fields where actually the data comes from and to which data source the data fields are actually they refer to. So if I click here, for example, on this one, it's candidate and email, but I have to click on it to see it. Or down below the URL path, I can see this comes from a different data source. So to make this a little bit more visible and easier for your design users, we have now invented, so to say, we have created, Peter has done it, he's developed it, the Docs42 visualizer that allows you to actually put in some custom colors for your data fields, for your data source, and add some icons. And we can even decide which data sources we're going to show here and which ones we're not going to show. And this one you will do within the Docs42 ribbon and within your data map. And here I'm gonna start with my candidate data source because that's the one we're actually using. And then I can say here, visualizer. And now this field opens and gives me a lot of like design possibilities for my data source. So I can assign color and I can say, for example, okay, all my fields from candidates should be blue, should be green. And I can also assign an icon, a custom icon. And I think because it's one candidate, this one might fit best. I could even decide if it's not shown or if I want to set it up in a hierarchy. But for now, I'm going to stick with a different color and a different icon for my candidates. And I'm going to save it. And then we will see already here, nice, it doesn't show the Sharepoint icon anymore. It shows me the candidate icon. So I know for the one person I select for this contract, all my data fields I will need are here. And I can see here I have all of those fields are green actually, but here in the template they're still blue. So there's one more thing to actually update your data fields within here, and this is while clicking refresh template. So if you click on refresh template, we can now see the data fields are green. And if I scroll further down, I can see, one data field is blue. So I know that all these data fields here, they actually belong to my candidate data source. And this one down below, this one actually belongs to my remuneration policy. So that makes it a bit easier. What we also see from here is that we have just two different data sources we're actually using within the document, but here we have 4. So we don't actually want to display all 4 data sources to our design users. Could be a little bit confusing, and that's why we're going to hide the ones we're not using. For example, this connection Excel data source, we're purely using this one to manage our connection information centrally. And maybe for the ones of you who haven't worked with connection files before, this is a really good best practice and I recommend you to do so. So if I open it, we can see we have some data fields like the site, the Azure tenant, the app ID, and so on. We store the credentials there. And then once we connect to our data sources, we use our Excel here. I'm going to quickly show it to you. It's a bit of a detour, but I think it's an important best practice. So here, for example, in our SharePoint data source, when we connect via Azure Active Directory, I don't type in my URL, my tenant, and so on manually. I actually say, okay, take from my Excel data source, take the field Azure tenant, for example, and fill it in. And this is how you can dynamically and centrally manage your connection data. It's a really good best practice, and I recommend you to use it. Good, but back to the visualizer. So we don't want anyone to actually insert like the tenant ID and so on into the template. That's why I'm using my visualizer and I say my data source connection should not be shown in the data field explorer. So I just untick this, then I can also not assign an icon. And then if I close it, I see that it's not visible anymore, so I can't insert my Excel fields here, which is good. I also won't need the all candidates, which is fine. So we're gonna just make that disappear as well. But then the remuneration policy is actually related to the candidate. So let me just generate the document for you one so you can actually see the remuneration policy. We're using that one, that's the last data field within our template here on the last page. And what it actually does, it's actually inserting a Word document that's associated to our contact. So we can see that's our employee contract, Michaela Mitarbeiter. And then down below on the last page, we have a remuneration policy, which also has the details of Michaela Mitarbeiter here. So it's actually related. And to make that easier in the design process as well for our colleagues, we are actually going to show that as a hierarchy as well here in our data field explorer. So I go in here. The first thing I do is I'm actually going to hide the all candidates because we don't need it. But then in remuneration policy, in the visualizer, first of all, I know that we are integrating a Word document, so I'm going to assign this symbol, the word symbol, and then I say everything should be purple. I like purple, and then the parent element should be the candidates list, so it should be shown in a hierarchy below the candidate. Click on OK, save my changes, and now we can see, I only have my candidate here. But if I open it, I can see my candidate data field, the green ones, and then down below here we have the remuneration policy with like all my purple fields. And if I now refresh my template, we can see down below here we have a purple field as well. Good, and this is how you work with the visualizer. I can just show you another example where we actually have a lot of data sources and how we use the visualizer there. I just have an example here in my sales quote, just for you to see that there are lots of icons you can choose from. And I'm just going to refresh the template because I've just updated it before. There are a lot of icons to choose from and also a lot of colors and hierarchies, and you can just not show some data sources which you don't want to have. So it's now updated. We can see, this is purple. So double click on here. I see, okay, this comes from a data source organizations. It's called name. But if I scroll down here, I actually have a product table. This is a template for a quote. I can see the currency information is in yellow, but like the product information is actually here in the order information is actually shown in green. So we have some hierarchies here, and we see that we only show a few data sources, but if we have a look in the data map, it's actually many, many more data sources. So this really helps to make it easier and make it more appealing for the design users to work with the Docs42 template. Good. So that was all about the visualizer. If you have some more questions about it, please post them in the chat and we will answer them. What I want to show you now is just a small new feature. It's adding dynamic bookmarks. So this is especially useful if you're working like with large documents, if you're working with documents that have like different sections. If you want to find like a section very quickly, you can work with a dynamic bookmark. For example, I want to move very quickly to where I have my signature, and I can say, okay, here I want to have the title of like the person that should sign as a bookmark or insert it as a bookmark. I go on OK, and I'm gonna generate the document. And then whenever I am actually looking to sign the contract, I want to find, I'm going to go to my bookmark and I want to find like to where I have to sign very quickly. So here I have my bookmark name, Michaela Mitarbeiter, so it's the value, the same value as here. And I say go to, and now I've actually moved here. And like the way I inserted it, the bookmark doesn't show any value back in the actually generated document. It's really just used as a placeholder, so to say. But of course, I can also assign it a value. So what I could also do is I say, okay, the normal field I'm going to remove, and I'm just working with my bookmark field here. And then I say the text in the bookmark, I can make that dynamic, and I can say it's the candidate.title. So my data source candidate and the data field title should be shown. Now I'm generating, and again from Michaela, and I'm now gonna, if I go to my bookmark, I once again have Michaela Mitarbeiter here. And then if I go to there, my bookmark actually also has a text assigned to it. So yes, this is how you can work with dynamic bookmarks. Then another feature which we've added to this version is to add SharePoint attachments to your documents. Like if I show you my SharePoint list, for example, my modern employee contracts, I have Michaela Mitarbeiter, it's my SharePoint list, and I have a picture of her, which I also want to show in my document. This attachments, it can be more attachment, it cannot just be pictures, it could also be Word documents, it could be PDFs, it could be PowerPoints, it could be anything which you can insert. And in order to actually insert that into my document, there's just a few steps you need to follow. So you go to your data map, you then click on your data source, the candidate, and then you can click on load attachments. So now it's actually loading the attachments. And then what you also have to do, for me it was already pre-selected because I've done it before, but you have to choose that you want to read the XML values, and also here you choose XML. You go on OK. And why we're choosing XML here is because it's returning the information, the URL is XML. I'm gonna show you here. So I clicked on load attachments, and if I go to my attachment URLs, we can see that it's actually shown in an XML format. And now we need to actually like return this value so that Docs42 can read it just like as a normal URL without the XML values around it. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding an XML data source. I'm gonna call it attachment. And then here I say get from my candidates data source the field attachment URLs. Get it? And this is a SharePoint multi-value attachment URLs field. So here it's actually taking my URLs. I say, okay, I'm gonna give this one a visualizer. Of course, I'm gonna say this should be orange. So it should be orange. And I'm gonna give it the picture here. I'm gonna save my changes, and now I have another field, and then just down below I can say my attachment URL. I'm gonna insert it, and I have a colorful data map, and I say this is an image. If it was a Word document, it could also be Word, for example, of course, and 200, and I'm generating my document now with the attachment also in the end. So that's another new feature. And now we come to the part that you've waited for if you're working with multi-factor authentication. So now, when I actually finish the setup of my template, I want to manage it from SharePoint. So I'm going to close it, and I want to upload it to my SharePoint. I have my folder here, and I have my different files for my template. I'm uploading it, and then I want to change something. I want to manage my template, so I want to open it again in Word. I say I'm going to open it in the app. And now, because now Docs42 is not just downloading the Word template, it's also requiring access to the data map so you can work with it. And now, because it wants to read the data map as well, it needs to have the access to it. And this is now the window we're all probably already familiar with. We need to give our credentials to download the template from SharePoint Online. This is okay. Can be a bit annoying that you have to edit, but this is okay. But if you're working with multi-factor authentication, this will not work. So we need to find a way on how to actually make this download automated. And this works with Azure Active Directory. So what we've added within the Docs42 add-in, we've added a new button called AAD Login. And here you can provide the SharePoint site URL where you're storing your templates, your Azure Tenant ID, your App ID, and the Azure ID Desktop Redirect URL. And with that information, Docs42 can log into Azure Active Directory, can actually get the access to the data map and download it automatically. And basically this information here is the same information that you're also adding to when you connect via Azure Active Directory in your data source. So here we have your SharePoint URL, your tenant ID, app ID, and desktop redirect URI. And where you actually get that information, it's within your Docs42 app, which you set up in Azure Active Directory. If you haven't done that, if you haven't worked with Azure Active Directory yet, there's of course a documentation about it and lots of tutorial videos. So just look on our resources page on our website to find it. Basically, we have the application ID here, we have the tenant ID, and then if we go to authentication for our add-in, we have a mobile and desktop applications added here, and here we have our redirect URL docs42.com. That's the information we need, and then we go into our Word. Could also be Excel or PowerPoint, of course. And now we're gonna insert our information. So my template is on the employees page within SharePoint. Then my tenant ID is this one. I'm just copying the one from above because it's the same. That's my app ID, and then here I have my redirect URI. Okay, so I've added all of that, and now I'm closing it and I'm downloading it again. And now, instead of prompting me to provide my credentials, it's actually logging into AAD with that information for me with my user, and I won't need to add that information anymore. So now with multi-factor authentication, it's done automatically. So the picture that popped up for a second, the pop-up, that was actually the AAD login. Here's some best practices around it. So please insert like the exact site link and don't insert just the sharepoint.com. So to really read, so the Docs42 can actually really log in for this site, then we recommend you to use sites and libraries without a space in between, because sometimes SharePoint adds like the URL encrypted, like with the %20 signs. Sometimes it has spaces in it that can be a little bit confusing sometimes. But if you have links with sites with a space, then please enter it here with a space, not with the %20. And also, please don't use the standard document libraries. So for the English SharePoint document library, that's called document, and for the German one, the freigegebene Dokumente, please don't use that one, and please have your own template libraries, and best without a space. Good, and what else I can do here is I can switch the login behavior from auto to always ask. So this is useful if you're working with multiple tenants. So if you, for example, a consultant, and if you work with several customers and you might need to switch your account, you can go to always ask. And now if I download my app in the my document again, it will log in automatically. It will try to log in automatically, but now it will ask me which Microsoft account I actually want to use. I'm using the same one, but you could, of course, also work with another one. And now I'm generating. I'm logged in now as Lisa, and I can just simply generate my document, get my data returned, and it's all within an Azure Active Directory context. Good. So very useful feature, and I prefer to have it as auto. Yes. And so that was all the content we've prepared for today. So please feel free to ask us questions. Please take advantage of the fact that I actually have Peter on the call, who developed all of those really cool and nice new features. If you have some more technical questions, please feel free to direct them to him. And while you're typing your questions, while you're asking something, just another shout out from us. Please now download the latest version, install the latest version, 4.3 from our website, docs42.com/modules/download. And also what we recommend you is to watch more Docs42 resources. So we have a lot of Docs42 classes, we have a lot of other tutorials, we have webinars, we have demos, we have sample templates, and you can find it on docs42.com/resources. So a lot to help you get started, or also to find some more tips and tricks like we did today. And yes, if you have some questions, please go ahead and type them. Can be technical, can be of any other nature. Just go ahead. Yeah. So also good if everything is clear, but we will give you just a bit more time. And I see there's one. Okay, someone says all clear here. Thank you. You're welcome. Happy that everything was clear for you. That's great. So yeah, if there are no more questions coming in from your side, then I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for Peter for being on the call today, for actually developing this great job. And I'm looking forward that all of you are using actually the new version. Have fun working with it, and let us know any feedback you have about it.
Thank you for coming to the webinar, and see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.